Hey, welcome to the Virtually Speaking podcast. As you know, we're continuing our coverage of VMware Cloud Foundation 9. Great series covering all the components. We've talked about core, we've talked about the vision and strategy. John, how you doing today?
You know, I woke up this morning, not at a Holiday Inn Express, but I decided, Pete, I kind of want to buy something. I want to buy a cloud. You know, sometimes you wake up, you're like, I want the new iPhone. No, yeah. I just want to buy a cloud.
You want to buy an entire cloud?
I want to buy a cloud. Where can we buy a cloud from?
There's a lot of places you can buy one, John, certainly here, but we're not selling them on this podcast. But yeah, we are talking about that cloud experience, not public cloud, but we're talking about private cloud as a consumption interface. And joining the conversation from product management is Chandra. Chandra, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. And thanks for inviting me to the Virtually Speaking.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Chandra, we've talked a lot about, private clouds being compared to public clouds different ways. How do you see that from your perspective?
Over the years, VMware has provided several components to create a private cloud. The best compute platform in the market, which is our ESXi hypervisor, best storage with our virtual storage, and best networking with NSX. And of course, our management products, which are ARIA products for operations, log management, network management, and consumption and automation. And over the years, we innovated on these products to create the best of breed that will create a private cloud. We gave you these products to our customers, and they stitched to create a private cloud. And what we're doing now with VCF 9 is we're stitching them for you, so you can actually buy this cloud. And of course, you can pay him, but at the end of the day, you can buy the cloud, you can download the cloud, you can install the cloud, and you get a cloud experience, both for your administrators and for your internal users and developers.
All right, well, I need to go download a cloud now.
There we go.
Yeah, well, we obviously know that, vSAN's been, the best of storage, and we've got the compute, and we've got the networking, great components. Lots of our audience are very familiar with these components, but it's more than just that foundational core components. The management is a huge part of it.
Yep. Absolutely. So these, one of the key things that we're doing is, as we stitch the components together, we continue to innovate on the core platform. We help you to run more workloads on the same set of servers or the infrastructure that you have. This is all done through efficient capacity optimization and workload optimization that is built into the fleet management capabilities. What are fleet management capabilities? So we, the hyperscalers or public cloud vendors, the admins in those companies are able to manage large fleets of their infrastructure because they're standardized, they automate, and in the process, they spend less time managing and operating that infrastructure. We are providing those capabilities to you on your existing vSphere storage, vSAN, networking, NSX deployments, right? And we overlay these fleet management capabilities on your existing topologies. So you don't have to make any major changes in your infrastructure, but you get the ability to automate several operations across your fleet. And that is coming through our VCF operations and management console.
This is interesting because I've always heard that cloud, I joke about buying it, but I've always heard cloud is something you do, not something you buy, so to speak. And it sounds like we're getting those abilities to run that. But I've had friends who are SREs at large hyperscalers and done those types of ops. And it's cool talking to them, but there is okay, here's our design pattern, and we have to follow this design pattern over and over and over again. We can't really do too much variety because it's just how we can run things at scale. You talk about being to kind of meet customers where they're at with the existing endless topologies of stretch clusters and different multi-data center patterns and different stuff like that. How are we doing that flexibility to meet people where they are?
Absolutely. So we are not expecting our customers to do any forklift upgrade migrations or things like that. You have your existing vSphere and our storage and our network and our NSX deployments that meet your business needs. And whether it is retail edge or whether it is your data centers, whether it's your branch offices, what we're doing on top is overlaying these fleet management capabilities, integrating with your existing topologies, be it vSAN stretch clusters or L2 stretched networks or whatever may be the format that you have. And as part of this, you'll be able to automate several common functions, such as upgrade our own software, automate upgrading of our software, lifecycle management, and scheduling that lifecycle management, automate the common things such as identity management, password management, as well as certificate management, and many common tasks, right? So because of the underlying infrastructure being vSphere, storage, vSAN, and networking, NSX, we are able to integrate with our own components and providing you that single management and operations console to manage and operate your infrastructure. And in the process, you get the efficiencies so you can actually manage more servers per admin.
When you talk about this more service per admin, like a lot of those tasks you describe, I view them as kind of that Venn diagram, the overlap of boring and hard. Like if you've been in ops, like managing certs and managing passwords is one of the least exciting things you can do. And it's hard, but it's also very important. And it's got to be done. But the other side of this, that's the operations, that's the SRE, that's the person running that cloud. The other side is this consumption layer of standardizing that. Like, what does that look like, and who are the people that can consume that, and how do they chop that?
Sure. So the whole purpose of establishing this infrastructure is for your end users and business units and developers to be able to consume this infrastructure. And you want to provide that public cloud-like experience for your end users and consumers. And to do that, you want to be able to organize this infrastructure into groups of resources for different business units, for different applications, and provides a tenancy model like any provider would provide. That's now all built into the platform. So you can organize this infrastructure into tenants. You can provide that flexibility and visibility to your tenant groups or internal business units, so they can manage the resources that are given to them. They can then provide access to their internal users who can actually create modern applications, be it Kubernetes applications, Kubernetes clusters, virtual machines, containers, all using Kubernetes interfaces and Terraform providers and such. And of course, you can also create virtual machines using our vCenter APIs and VCF APIs. So essentially, you're getting the best of both worlds, where you continue to interact with our infrastructure with our VCF APIs, and while your end users don't have to learn anything about this private cloud and simply interact using Kubernetes interfaces for virtual machines, Kubernetes clusters, and containers.
So they don't have to learn something fancy about how to provision networks or how to provision storage. They just talk to that CSI or whatever that interface is they're used to, and it'll assume through.
Absolutely. So and they can have the similar kind of storage and networking constructs, such as being able to get the storage from the underlying storage interfaces. They can get VPC construct that's built into the platform, just like they would get in the public cloud. They can get application isolation through this VPC concept, so they don't have to necessarily do firewall rules between each of the individual application components.
And this was kind of a challenge with multi-tenancy before, because we didn't really have multi-tenancy at the vCenter layer. So you kind of had to pick some type of CMP to overlay or do that. And it was an integration point, but it didn't pierce through all the way.
Yeah, so, well, to start with, we have always had multi-tenancy through our vCloud Director product with all our service providers, right? Several service providers use our multi-tenancy capability to offer services to their customers. Exactly. So that VDC and vCloud Director concepts are now merged with our ARIA automation concepts to create this new consumption interface, which we call as VCF automation. And underneath it, you have the best of both technologies, the consumption interface and the tenancy model. And the tenancy model is built into the platform. It's not a bolt-on tenancy model. It's a tenancy model that goes...
It was good, but it was a layer on.
It was a layer on. So now you have a tenancy model that transcends all the way down to the ESX layer or hypervisor layer. And the way we are able to do that is we have a Kubernetes control plane that runs on top of hypervisor that translates all of the Kubernetes interfaces down to the hypervisor. And this tenancy model allows you, the end users, to be able to create modern applications with virtual private clouds within a tenant or across,
carve those namespaces out.
Exactly.
John, it looks like you're ready to buy a cloud now. We now understand.
I mean, I'm ready to buy, but I'm ready to run the cloud.
Yeah, you can actually
And
run
don't
it.
worry, Pete, I'll give you a generous namespace allocation.
You can now deploy it, you can manage it, and consume it. Chandra, VCF 9 out this week, obviously, lots of hoopla. From an operations perspective, what are you most excited about?
Well, it's about helping customers meet where they are. That's the most important thing for us, and provide them all these capabilities that make them efficient, both from mundane, boring tasks like cert management, password management, lifecycle management, and so on, as well as interesting tasks such as optimizing capacity, running more workloads in the same infrastructure, and more importantly, all of this is to provide self-service and agility to the end users and developers. So they don't have to wait and send an email asking for a virtual machine to be deployed. They can simply click, use the interfaces that they're most familiar with, integrate with their CI/CD pipelines for the deployment of their applications, and also get operational visibility. As you said, he can start consuming as many namespaces as you want, but you really want to govern how much is consuming, right? You want to know how much is costing you.
Look, the operating cost of John Cloud are out of control. Fair.
Yeah, all of that is visible to you, so you can actually control how much is using.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to keep him under control.
Yeah,
Chandra,
absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us on Virtually Speaking, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Perfect. Thank you.